currently 2 a.m. I'm sleep deprived, and you know what I thought would be cool? Would be just to create a plot for like the trilogy after the sequel trilogy, because I feel like there were still some loose ends that needed to be tied up. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna work on this, and here I am, 2 a.m. on a school night. Uh, so I'm pretty sleep deprived because I've been working on this for the past couple days. Um, so I just thought I would do this. Takes inspiration from Colin Trevorrow's Duel of the Fates. Not all of it, but some aspects. Good amount of aspects, but not all of it, because I felt like his story just didn't make enough sense of where I wanted it to go with this, but I still added some aspects that I liked from it. So I guess we can start. So this is Star Wars Episode 10, A New Fate. Uh, Excuse the chicken scratch again. I just kind of did like a brief summary. So the Resistance infiltrates a First Order Star Destroyer to save prisoners. They escape on a shuttle, and then they were informed about like a large holdout of First Order troopers at Coruscant, back on Ajan Kloss. Um, so the holdout on Coruscant has a big energy shield that only droids can go through. So C-3PO and R2-D2 take the shuttle and they go to Coruscant and the stolen shuttle, in hopes to turn off the energy beacon. You can see that right here. While they're there, they successfully do it, but R2-D2 gets severely damaged on Coruscant, but he later gets rebuilt with a metallic dome piece. So, I mean, it was a good sacrifice, but what cost? So now the shields are down, and Poe and Chewbacca, they come in and they lead an assault on the Star Destroyers with other Resistance troopers. Once that happens and they're all taken care of, the Resistance invade Coruscant, taking down the First Order. Finn encounters some stormtroopers, and he uses like a Jedi mind trick on the soldiers. There's like a little dialogue. He's like, I think it was like Jana. She asked like, how were you able to do that? And Finn was like, the Force instead of the feeling, because like he knows it's the Force now. So I think that would be pretty cool. Rey kind of leaves off, because she has like a sense. So she follows her sense, and she ends up in the throne room, and she's like surveying the area, and she can do like the Force touch, where she can like get the memory of like certain objects, and she touches where like Palpatine was, and she senses like that duel, and she's like, horrible things have happened here. And then suddenly, like, this Sith with like two red lightsabers, he comes in and they duel, and she loses her lightsaber in hand. It gets flown off the balcony. Kind of, she's in the same exact situation where Palpatine was, but she's sitting down, and the guy is like, has his lightsaber up against her, and he's like, I'm gonna spare you now, but you can join me if you want, and I can teach you how to duel, because you're a bad duelist, but you're strong in the Force. Because this guy's horrible in the Force, but he's a good duelist. It's kind of the opposite of Rey. Like, he's extremely powerful at dueling, but not in the Force. And she's like, no, I will not join you, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, so be it. And then he just leaves. And then, like, we cut back to Finn, and Finn senses her, and, you know, he saves her and takes her to, like, a medical frigate where, kind of like in Empire Strikes Back, she gets, like, an arm, like a hand, like how Luke did it. And they're, like, looking off into space, and they're like, what now, you know? I mean, I feel like the First Order is still a threat, not as big of a threat, so it's kind of like remnants, but it's still a threat. Um, so that kind of ends out the first movie of the trilogy. The next one is Star Wars Rules of the Force. So again, there's probably a little bit of a time jump here. Let's see. I'm just trying to think where I should talk. Okay, so basically we see like these scenes of like the Resistance attacking First Orders, um, on smaller planets, but they don't know where Darth Leone is. It's just all these First Order troopers. But then they eventually get a lead on where Darth Leone is actually going to strike next. So we see like Poe, Finn, and everybody else besides Rey and Finn, not Finn, just Poe, Chewbacca, Rose, and everybody like that in the Resistance go to Ahch-To to ask Rey and Finn, who are training on the island, if they can join them. Rey declines. She also has a new lightsaber, which is double-bladed, but can be like separated, like Cal Kestis's, but we won't see that till later in the movie. Um, and Finn has like Luke's green lightsaber because that was like the other lightsaber there. So they decline. The Resistance, like they said, okay, whatever. They leave. Um, like understandable. We just wanted to tell you, try to offer you, but if, whatever. Um, you know, she continues training Finn on Ahch-To, and then suddenly she has like a force vision of like flashbacks of Exegol with Ben Solo, and Finn asks if everything is okay, and she says, I see something. I'm gonna follow me." And they go to the Force Cave, and Finn's like all confused, and Rey touches the cave, and then like a portal opens up. It's the World Between Worlds portal. We see this like referenced in Rise of Skywalker, in like Luke's book, saying like how there was like a connection between Ahch-To and Exegol, and where Ben Solo fell. Um, I personally believe that he fell into like a link between World Between Worlds, and my own theory is that like Ben Solo kind of force projected himself, so like some of his, like features stayed on Exegol, and some of his, like a spirit or something went to the World Between Worlds. So there's two Ben Solos. One of them's like on Exegol dying, and the other one's kind of like uh, taken away. Um, Now with Ahsoka, like I think Ahsoka didn't die, so I think she was just transported out. But like for Ben, he did die, so I think him having like a spiritual Ben and an actual physical Ben kind of makes it's like a clone of Ben, but not essentially. It's the same exact character, just it's weird. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of like the ghost of Ben Solo, but he was back alive and he's like present. We'll see it. So they touch the mirror. They both go into the world between worlds. Rey and Finn, they both enter the portal and they see Ben Solo. Rey also sees some other clips from like the Phantom Menace. She sees like Maz Kanata getting Luke's like saber from the pit. Uh, Finn tries to attack Ben, but he like force pushes him away. Like, oh, I'm not trying to fight. I just want to try to figure out where I'm at. Like, I want to try to find Luke Skywalker. I want to try to contact him. And while they're trying to discuss, there's another portal. It's Palpatine. Palpatine always returns, but it's like in Rebels. He was just stirring in his pot. He's like trying to figure out what's all there, and he sees them, and he's just confused as hell. So he just says, "You do not exist," and he just like zaps them, and they flee. So it's kind of just a funny callback, but like he's not going to be a major threat. Like he's just there. He doesn't know what's going on. I mean, that could happen, that could not happen. It's just a thought that I thought would be pretty interesting to see. Kind of make the connections between Rebels, like how Palpatine was just trying to see what was in the World Between Worlds, trying to figure it out, but doesn't know anything about it. It's just like an old version. So they leave from Palpatine because they had to get a motive. So they leave. They go to like Luke's hut. They go through his Jedi texts wherever they are, and they see the planet Dagobah, and they think, oh, this has major connections to the Force because it was written in the journals. So they all go there in I think it was the Falcon, because they want to try to contact him. So they all plan to go there. And then we take a break from them characters for a while because we need to focus on the Resistance. So the Resistance, we see them track the First Order, and they're on like this acid-raining mushroom planet. And they're like, whoa, this is like a weird type of planet. So they land, and there's like this emotional scene with Chewbacca too, because like he's seeing like this type of planet with like these alien creatures get invaded, and you can see like a flashback with Chewbacca with the Wookiees, with like Order 66 and everything like that, of the Empire, and it's a nice callback, I think. So they land there, there's these alien species that run up to them, and C-3PO translates, and these aliens know that the Resistance are the good guys. and C-3PO translates, and they're saying like, "Oh, we'll help you to attack them and everything," and that's fine. So it's kind of like it's like the Gungans, kind of like they're not Gungans, but they have like kind of like old weapons, kind of like not kind of blasters. So it's like this cool sequence like that. And eventually they captured like a Darth Leone. They're all thinking it's him, right? So they take off his mask, and it's actually just an imposter. It's not even him. It was just a whole distraction for the Resistance. It's a whole entire flaw. And, the Resistance tries to ask the imposter, like, where's he at? What's he doing? And he uses, like, one of those, like, mouthpieces that kills. I forget if it was in Rogue One or Mandalorian, but basically it just kills him because he doesn't want to speak. And the Resistance retreats back to Ajon Kloss. And from that, we cut to Darth Leone, and we're like, I think, yeah. So we cut back to Darth Leone, and he's like in this super badass Star Destroyer. It's like the Eclipse from Legends, and it has like this weird gun on it, like a big laser gun. Ooh, laser gun. Can destroy planets. Well, this one is different because I'm tired of just seeing planets get exploded, right? So I mean, it still explodes, but like just in a cooler way. Right? So this gun sucks up all the life and midichlorians from the planet, right? And what I'm getting is the planet Aileen from the Clone Wars has good amounts of midichlorians in it. So he's like extracting all the midichlorians from the planet into his ship. And it's just we don't know why he's doing it, but we know it's the midi. Like he says like, oh, I'm getting all the force energy from this planet, and it's just like, whoa, what the fuck, it's just a cool scene. And like one of his officers come up to him and he's like, Darth Leon, we know where Rey Skywalker and Finn are. And he's like, where are they? And they're like, they're on the planet of Dagobah. He's like, oh, I'm just gonna go by myself. And that like, he's like, do not follow me, I'm just going there by myself. And then they go there, and okay, so then we cut back to Rey, Ben, and Finn. We all know that Darth Leone is going there, but we cut back to them. It's just them right now, not Darth Leone. So they're all searching to find Luke. So they travel to Dagobah, and they find like this force tree. Force trees are really what it is, like force tree that has a lot of midichlorians. Rey decides to touch the tree, and this tree is so powerful that it like connects them to the wheels of the force, but they don't see them or anything. It's just voices, right? They're in like this astral plane. The wheels of the force are talking about just like what happens in Star Wars. Like they're basically overlapping, recalling information. It's like kind of jumbled, hard to distinguish what they're saying. And we see like these like scenes and like sounds, and then we see like some silhouettes of like Legends characters, like I think it was like Anakin Solo, stuff like that. And it's just saying like that there's multiple different versions of the Star Wars, so it's like a multiverse. So that way people that say, oh, the sequels aren't canon, well, that's their opinion. They could see the Legends as canon, or like it brings the two halves together. That's how I see it as, right? And then once that scene ends, like Obi-Wan appears. He just appears because like I feel like that would be a nice trigger for Obi-Wan. He appears and he provides them like advice, saying like, Ben Solo, your grandfather did horrible things too, or something like that. But like, look what has risen up. Like I don't know. Like he basically tells Ben like, it's like try to overcome your past doings and be a new you or something. He provides advice for all three in a way. I don't know yet, but I know that he provides advice. And he's like, my work here is done or something. And then he just disappears. And then like once he disappears, like Darth Leone just walks out of like the shadowy area that Obi-Wan was just standing in, right? So it's like his lightsabers ignite, and then the other three just ignite, and then they start dueling. Ben's Darth Leone destroys Ben's lightsaber, and Rey like splits her lightsaber in half, and she gives it to Ben, and then they still continue dueling, and then just the tree just like spontaneously combusts or blows up because I think one of their lightsabers hit it or just explodes. I don't know yet. Whatever works, like whatever sounds better, it's fine. Anyways, somehow the tree explodes, and all of them get injured. Like I think, uh, you know, I think, well, Finn's already injured because Darth Leone kind of just knocked him down. But like Rey and Darth Leone, like his mask like becomes like shattered, and you can see his face, his arms like all burnt up. Rey just get like bruises and shit like that, and Darth Leone says like, "You just won't be the last of me." Blah blah blah. He says some type of like eerie monologue, and then like Ben just kind of takes them back. Um, and then at the end, Ben Solo is like happy to see that they're okay and everything, and the Resistance is still kind of confused on where to go now. So like they're like, where do we go now? And then Darth Leone like cuts back to Darth Leone on his Star Destroyer, and he's like looking out into the space, and he's like, "My weapon is finally complete," which we don't even know what his final weapon is. And I feel like having Darth Leone as like a Darth Maul character, like at the very end, he's like this badass character that just appears out of nowhere. I feel like that fits, just because I feel like, you know, we need a new badass character, and what's the best way to do it? Introduce him at the very end. Now, Star Wars Duel of the Fates. This is the last one. I copied the title because I thought this would be pretty good. Yeah, so I guess we can start. So it starts off with a Star Destroyer, obviously, as every other Star Wars movie, just out in space, and the Resistance board it. It's a whole entire battle sequence, and they infiltrate the ship, and they capture an Imperial officer on the ship. And then Ben Solo comes out. He pries like the information from the Imperial officer, try to figure out where Darth Leone is, um, and they get the information. Um, they're told that he's on the planet of Malachor, and they're like, okay. And so they take the Star Destroyer back to the Aegon class because um, the Resistance wants to gather materials and weapons and assets from the Star Destroyer. So while they're heading back to Aegon class, Ben Solo starts to faint. He hears like a voice telling him like, "You have to go where you can feel the most connected to the Force." Blah 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 blah, like all that stuff. And Ben Solo leaves in the Falcon because it's his ship, and he leaves. And then Rey and Finn decide to go to Aegon class. No, to Malachor. They decide to go to Malachor because they want to stop Darth Leone. Um, what's next? Okay, so they, and then once everybody leaves, we just watch the Resistance go back to Aegon class, and they land there, and then like they're talking, and then all of a sudden like all these Star Destroyers just come out of nowhere from Aegon class, and I guess it was revealed that there was a tracker on it, so they knew exactly where the Rebel base was. And so both Chewbacca and Poe, they go up in the skies, and they have an aerial assault with the ships. They're both in X-wings. It's like a really cool sequence. Um, and then, once we reveal that information, we cut back to Ben Solo. He's on the Falcon. He's in Alderaan space, and there's like all these asteroids and shit, and he's just standing there looking over all the remnants of like where Princess Leia's home was. Because like that kind of just, I feel like just having him with like the bond that he has with his family like that, just kind of like looking over like this is like I feel the most connected, you know. Um, it's kind of like going to a gravesite really, and just like looking over. Well, it isn't really a gravesite, but like going to someone's grave and just being like, I need help and everything. So he's just looking out there, and then like he begins to fade because like him existing while he's already dead just doesn't make any sense. So he's like fading from existence, and then out of nowhere we see the Force Ghost of Anakin. Anakin tells Ben Solo how he failed, and tells him like, he was wrong, and Luke Skywalker taught him and everything. And it's just like this really emotional scene. I don't know how to describe it, but you can kind of get the gist of it. Um, and then Anakin like uses some of the force that he has to save Ben from dying, and it completes his arc from from the prequel trilogy. How about instead like you could even save the ones you love from dying, and that's how he did it, and like like it would be a really good scene, and I feel like Anakin would be telling Ben like, I heard you, grandfather, like like you steered me in the wrong direction. And Anakin was like, that was not me, that was Palpatine, like he blocked me from trying to contact you, he's that powerful, like you were judged, like your vision was clouded or something. And it would be just a really cool scene. And then we come back to Aegon class. Oh no, I think all the trios go back to Aegon class except for Ben. Everybody goes to Aegon class except for Ben because they were being tracked. So Rose, Finn, and Rey, they lead the ground assault on Aegon class. They have they're kind of backed up, so they find these like old tanks. They're actually from Battlefront 2, but I think they would be perfect for these scenarios, and they use them against ATSTs and everything. It's like this really cool battle, because we always love battles from Star Wars, and I thought this would be pretty good. But they win, finally, and after the battle, Rey and Finn, they steal a TIE Fighter, and they head up to Malachor. Um, I don't know how they exactly know where Malachor is, but I think, that's a tricky one, but they somehow get to Malachor. Um, so they go to Malachor, and obviously they don't expect them to be there. So they both land there. There's some stormtroopers. They all take them out. And then when they get to like a hallway, right? There's still like these Magna Guards. We haven't seen Magna Guards since the prequel trilogy. I think it would be cool to see some Magna Guards because we know they're fucking badass, and they can like kill Jedi. They're really powerful. And just seeing ancient Magna Guards just proves that whoever is doing this has power, right? So Rey's like, I need to go face Darth Leon. And Finn's like, don't worry, Rey, I got this. Go. And he stays back and he faces the Magna Guards in like this hallway. And it's kind of like he doesn't defeat them, but like they push him back. I think like for a little bit he gets pushed back, but then he defeats them. So, but like Rey goes on to Darth Leon. They have a conversation. He's like, "Join me, Rey. I need your power to do what I want to do." She's like, "No." And then like Darth Leon says like, "We are siblings, Rey. Like whenever you were younger, your parents, we were twins, just like the Skywalkers. But they took me off to another planet, and I was forgotten about." And she's like, I know, but I don't want to. And then she's like saying like, I don't want to leave you. You still have good in you. She still has like that ideology that like all dark side Force users have the ability to be good, right? He's like, I will never be good. And then she's like, oh, I won't leave you then. And he turns on like the switch. He's like, so be it. And he turns on the switch, and the switch. He's like, this beam will resonate or like reincarnate all the fallen Sith from the ancient war that happened on this planet, and from that I will become the most powerful Sith, and lead the Sith army. And she's like, no, and she basically, they're dueling, and then her lightsaber activates the ship, and the ship starts driving towards the planet, and Darth Leon's like, no, you can't do this, no, and they keep on dueling, and the ship just keeps on, like, it can't stop. It's like heading towards the planet. There's gonna be this huge explosion. They're dueling, and Finn's like, hey, Finn's like, go, just get out of here. And Finn's like all emotional, and he's like, I can't leave you. And Rey kind of force pushes Finn into like into the or away, and Finn just says, he basically escapes, like knowing that like he's gonna die if he stays, and he escapes in that TIE fighter and just leaves. And the ship, like majestically, I feel like just goes towards the planet, and the planet kind of implodes. Like there's this huge force implosion, and it's like really, it's like better. It's like the best explosion we've ever seen since like R2D2 destroyed that shuttle with all the bombs, or that that one explosion in the Clone Wars. Like it's something like that, but like really cool. And Finn leaves. Now this is like the ending now. So there's like this monologue of like Finn talking about the Force and everything. He's like just all the experiences, and he's like going over like what the characters are doing now. So Finn's like teaching Jedi or people about the Force on Octo, kind of like a Jedi Master, but he's not essentially Jedi Master. He's just teaching about them about the light and the dark. Uh, and we pan over to C-3PO and R2-D2. What they're doing, they're basically they're like in a school teaching people about the Star Wars, and it's like R2-D2 has like his little projector on and is showing them like the whole entire scenes from the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, like all that stuff. I think that would be pretty cool. Like that kind of shows them like they're kind of retired. They're not going to be doing any of these crazy action sequences because I feel like they're Anthony Daniels like I don't think there's anything else for them to do. Right, and then we see Poe and Chewbacca. They have their own ship now. They're doing smuggling, kind of like what Han and we see Poe, Chewbacca, Babu Frick, and Zori Bliss. They're all in like a smuggling thing, and I think that would really work because he was a spice runner, and I feel like him to being a spice runner and Chewbacca, they're taking up a smuggling career and everything, and yeah. Oh, and I forgot to mention. I think in Anakin's speech he said like there will never be balance or something like I thought I could bring balance. I was told to bring balance to the Force, but I can only bring it for a limited time. There's always going to be some type of conflict, and I think that would just kind of say like, you know, I did bring balance, but clearly it's never going to be balanced. You can always just try to balance it, or in order to be balanced, there has to be light and darkness, just not light nor darkness. So I think that would be pretty cool. Anyways, diverting back to this scene, we go back to Ben Solo, and clearly it's some time has passed. He has like a beard and everything, probably some gray hair. But he travels to Tatooine on the Falcon, and he goes to where Rey was, and he uses the Force to gather both his uncle and his mother's lightsaber, right? And he like, it's kind of like in the Clone Wars with Darth Vader looking out into the sunset with Ahsoka's lightsaber, but he's looking out into the sunset with his parents' lightsabers and Anakin's lightsaber, and he's like just looking off like, I have not contacted Luke. Where is Luke? I need to talk to him. And then all of a sudden, Luke, Leia, and Han, the original trio, appear behind Ben. He's all teary-eyed. He's like, I don't know what to say. I failed you. And Luke's like, no, I failed you. Like, I want to reteach you. Go to Lothal, because that's it's another Force planet. There's a Jedi temple in Lothal, I think. And go there, and I will teach you more about the Force. Go. And Ben, like, nods. And he, like, goes in the Falcon, and the Falcon takes off into hyperspace, and that's the end of the Star Wars. There's, like, I mean, we could obviously get maybe, like, a TV show about, like, Ben, or a book, like him trying to learn more about the Force. And I feel like we get, like, a closure of all the characters. I mean, Finn's teaching a new thing of Jedi. Ben's, like, trying to become more experienced in the Force. And the light side, he may go back to teach, but with his reputation, it's not all there. So I mean, it's just like he's kind of in hiding, but that's what I've come up with. There could be flaws, I don't know. That's what I'm going to be posting onto YouTube to see if I can get any connections from any viewers, because I don't know if this will get any views. But that's the end of that's my theories. That's like what I want to see, because I feel like that would make the most sense. But I could be totally wrong. You guys might have other opinions. You guys might say, oh, the sequels aren't canon. Well, I'm sorry, I love the sequels, and I feel like this could probably unite sequel fans and sequel haters into a perfect bundle with making complete sense in a fashion. Obviously, there's still some plot holes like, oh, where did Rey's brother come from? Well, he probably came from another planet and wasn't told that he was, maybe that could be a whole entire different story, like the rise of Ben or Leon Palpatine. Like, where did he come from? Maybe he was like he taught himself in the Force. Like maybe there was like a ancient Sith or something, and he killed the ancient Sith. And like there's a whole entirely different plot for him. Like it's like maybe it's the opposite of Rey, but doesn't have like all the, you know, the shit from the sequels. Like it's a whole entire different story. Like he is from the unknown regions. Like maybe he had like a old ancient Sith master that taught him the ways of the Force. Maybe he started off in a planet, went to the unknown regions by accident, was trained by a Sith, and then he found like an Eclipse Star Destroyer, and then he modified it because he was like a pilot. Like there's so many, you know, potential for like a book about him or something. Like I don't know. Just let me know what you guys think. If it's convoluted, if it's doesn't make any sense, if it's good, if it could be worked on. Obviously, I had so much more stuff that I've written down on the docs. I just didn't put on here because I wanted to make it brief and I could just ramble. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching and goodbye.